Do you really want to love me forever? I just want a quickie. Holla, 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 holla.
Hey, now, what that sound there?
It's the Military Report with your Rick Tillman and retired Sergeant Major Lenny Augustine on Clay 1180 AM, Tacoma's conversation station.
Fine. So I'll bring him on right now.
Brenton Briggs.
Brenton Briggs. Oh,
yeah.
Okay, Brenton, apologies for that. I got the short version of your name. Brenton, good morning to you. I'm saying good morning. Where are you at right now? Because it might not be morning for you.
Well, good morning, afternoon, good evening. I'm actually in the south side of Atlanta in a small town called Fayetteville, Georgia.
Okay. How you like it there?
I love it. It's a beautiful place. There's lots of growth and lots of stuff going on down here.
Outstanding. Brenton, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. If I start rambling, feel free to cut me off, put me on hold, do whatever you need to do. But
I do the same thing. I do the same thing. So, yeah. Tell me.
So before I get to me, I want to thank you specifically for this fantastic show like you're hosting. I think you're touching and helping hundreds and thousands of veterans and warriors out there. So thank you for what you're doing.
You're welcome. Thank you for your service as well.
But also, a real big thank you to Leslie and her team for developing Warrior Spirit Mission Homefront. What I've experienced through this particular tool has not only saved some of the marriages that I've seen, but it's a tool that we're using to help other couples, and it's just been a great tool for couples and individuals. So thank you, Leslie.
Thank you, Brenton.
So tell me more. Tell me about Brenton. I know you're a veteran.
I am. Actually, I spent 28 years in uniform.
Wow.
Yeah. I tell people I'm bilingual. The first 8 years of my service, I was in the Marine Corps.
Okay.
I was 8 years enlisted, and then I accepted a direct commission into the Army as a medical officer. And I think I had probably the best career of anybody out there. I've had some of the best assignments. Like I said, I was in the infantry. I was a medical officer, company commander. I ran 2 counterterrorism teams, and I finished up at the Army headquarters. So it was a wonderful 28 years.
Okay. So how did you come to meet and know Leslie?
Sure. After I retired, through a series of unfortunate incidents, I had actually 5 deployments.
Oh.
On my last deployment, I was injured about halfway through and was sent home. I underwent 6 surgeries to rebuild my face.
Okay.
Now everyone tells me I have the perfect face for radio.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So in the process of going through that, I went to all 6 surgeries and all the follow-up appointments by myself.
Wow.
My wife at that time didn't know how to be a wife to a guy that came home and needed that kind of care. But to be honest, I didn't know how to be that guy either. So it was through those and working with other wounded warriors that I started. I actually started the nonprofit that we call the Eden Project.
Right. I'm going to have to ask you to come back on the show one day and talk about the Eden Project.
I would love to, because it's
Warrior Spirit today. Go ahead.
It's tied so closely to what Leslie does, and that's what part of our mission is reintegration, and how we planned on doing it is different than how Leslie does it, but her process and her game is so simple and easy to use. We've practically abandoned our original methodology and use this exclusively for the reintegration piece.
Leslie, what a great compliment, huh?
Yeah, seriously, I'm taking it in.
So you went through all this experience by yourself, and you mentioned something so honest, and I believe our listener, I know I got it. I got the message that, when you said that, your spouse at the time didn't know how to be a spouse to a guy like you, nor did you know how to be a spouse to your wife. And it seems like there's a lot of folks experiencing that, but very few people are talking about it that way. So now that you've went through that experience, how did you come in contact with the Warrior Spirit Mission Homefront, and how did you started using it, and then what is the result?
So, I wish I could remember the exact how. I know for several years, I've been working with other wounded warriors and helping them to reconnect because they were going through the same thing I was going through. A lot of them sat at the same clinics and the same intensive care units that I was in, dealing with the same things that we were dealing with: the depression, the loneliness, the despair. What are we going to do after we get out? And a lot of them, unfortunately, many of these guys didn't make it. They took that ultimate decision and chose to end their life. And I knew that there had to be something better, something different for us. So just, some of the basic conversations and talking with people, I saw, that light, a little bit of hope started to come on.
Okay.
So I got with some of my other buddies who went through similar stuff and said, what can we do? Because there's got to be something that we can do for this. We actually were going to do like cooking classes or fitness classes and create the positive opportunities for couples to come together and start, being couples again and loving each other like that awesome couple you just had on.
Right, Dave.
We wanted to create those. Yeah, we wanted to create those positive experiences. And then it may have been LinkedIn, it may have been just a series of mutual connections, but I read about this, about Warrior Spirit.
Okay.
And I thought, holy cow, that's exactly what we're trying to do, but it's in a different format. And, man, it is so powerful. It's the very first, and this is where I'm rambling. If I'm rambling,
that's
just
okay.
stop me.
You're on the right path because the next question for me would be, okay, so now you got the game in your hand. We'll call it a game. You got the game in your hand. What was your first, experience with the game?
So as a medical officer, I used to do group counseling and group therapy. So I wanted to go through this and just see how it was going to work and see what the process was.
Now, before you finish, did you have a tool to use, when you were doing that counseling?
Other than the training, no, it was just open groups, and it was peer-to-peer type counseling, and I was say a group leader, but it was more peer-to-peer mentoring.
Okay.
And these were guys from the Somalia era, the folks who I worked with were in the 90s.
Okay.
So when I was exposed to Mission Homefront, it was a life changer, literally, because I went through the game myself and saw the questions, and what I tried to do was pick out a couple like softball questions, some things that were going to be easy icebreakers that we could use just to get the conversation started.
Okay.
And it was one of the very first groups I think that we did that we went through. Leslie sent me the facilitator guide, and we talked about, how to conduct one of them. So when I did it, I pulled out a question that I thought was going to be just a simple icebreaker. And it turned out that one question led the discussion for the next hour. And it was just, like I said, it was, I prefer the term just a softball pitch, but it ended up so powerful at the very end. And so I kind of get choked up. I apologize. At the very end, the husband looked over and said, "Wow, I didn't know you felt that way." So just watching these couples, learn to grow back together is amazing.
And I think that's a part of the positive experience that people are having as a result, not only of the individual game, because there's individuals out there using the game right now that are experiencing some phenomenal positive experience. And I'm going to tell my listening guests that if you look on the missionhomefront.com website, you'll see some folks talking about their experience with the Warrior Spirit, and it's a tear jerker. I'm telling you. You'll start listening to some of the feedback that Leslie has gotten, and you'll start tearing up because there's some folks seem like this has been. I'll call it, Leslie. Can I call it the Holy Grail?
Of course.
Yeah, this is actually probably one of the Holy Grail, if not the Holy Grail, and that bridges the gap between an individual veteran or service member's experience and their ability to communicate that experience to someone that they love. And for us, it's always someone that they love, or a means through which they can grow out of, as Dave mentioned earlier, out of the part of the experience that seems to be a negative or that seems to draw you down. So Brenton, tell me a little bit more. So, has this changed your life?
In more ways than I can talk about. So, I went into this and I think other people do the same thing. I went into this as a facilitator, and I'm doing the whole air quote thing, as a facilitator or one who's trying to help other people. But I haven't done one of these yet that I think I grow more, or at least as much as anybody else in the room. Every time it's a new question, every time it's a new topic and a new series, and I get probably more out of this than, like I said, than the other folks. So I'm growing. Now it may sound selfish because I want to do twice as many groups this year that we did last year, but I get so much more out of this.
Okay. Now, would you recommend it?
Oh my gosh. What we're trying to do is get a board game in everybody's hand. I'm working with a Yellow Ribbon down here. There's a 2-star command in my area, and I'm working with them to try and get one of these in everybody's hands. So ideally, and you're a veteran, you know how this works.
I do.
If we can teach them the tools before they deploy, it's so much more powerful and effective than waiting until there's a problem and trying to fix a problem.
That is correct.
So that's what we're trying to do down here is get these in more hands than all these deployed folks.
Well, Brenton, we appreciate you coming on the show today. Thank you for all that you do for our service members and our veterans. Keep growing out of the pain, man. Keep growing out of the pain, and know that you're not alone.
Appreciation.
So, Leslie.
Deep appreciation, Brent. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely,
thank
Brenton.
you.
We appreciate you.
So, I do have a question for Leslie, if I have time to ask a quick question.
You do.
I love the games that she has so far. There's a game for couples. There's a game for peer-to-peer veterans. Is there anything else coming out? Because there's people are asking about what's next or what else is there. So, anything else?
Yeah, I'm looking to do a pre-deployment game so people can deal with all their fears, anxieties, get much closer as a couple before the deployment so that they have that bond really, really strong. And so when they come back, they also know they have the post-deployment to use so that keeps that chain going.
Okay, Leslie, stay on the line, and Brenton, stay on the line if you need that question answered, but I'm going to go straight into break right now, and then when we come back, she'll finish the answer to that question, and then we'll talk to our other guest that's listening, that's waiting on the line.
Thanks.
You're listening to the Military Report on Clay 1180 with Lenny Augustine.
The Military Report is number 1 when it comes to veteran-related topics, exclusively on Clay 1180, Tacoma's Conversation Station.